At precisely 55 hours, 53 minutes, and 18 seconds into the flight of Apollo 13, astronaut Jack Swigert followed Mission Control's instruction to flip the switch that stirred the liquid oxygen tanks. Everything seemed normal. And then
it just had a big bang at one time. And so we all looked around. What happened? What's that? I looked up at Fred Haise to see if he knew what was going on.
Remember, Haise liked to play tricks with a pressure valve.
Immediately, Jim Lovell looks over to see, has Fred Haise pulled another fast one on me?
I'm sure he saw it in my eyes, and he saw I wasn't smiling.
And I could tell from his expression, he had no idea.
So this wasn't one of his practical jokes with the pressure.
He had no idea.
Haise was in the tunnel between the command module and the lunar module.
I heard a loud bang and metallic sounds because the way the vehicle contorted, it actually twisted enough in the tunnel area that it crinkled the metal. You could hear that metal crinkling.
Did your heart jump up into your throat? I mean, that's not a sound you want to hear 200,000 miles from home.
Absolutely, and I knew it right away was not a normal circumstance.
Jack Swigert radioed Mission Control.
We've had a problem here.
Can say again, please.
15 seconds later, Lovell repeated the message.
Houston, we've had a problem.
I listened to that radio transmission that is probably as famous as the flight itself. Those 5 words, Houston, we've had a problem. And I listened to the calm in your voice. Were you as calm as you sound?
I kind of think so. I mean, I was faced with a problem. And so if I did nothing but, bounce off the walls for 10 minutes, I'd be right back to where that problem was.
Things were not so calm in Mission Control.
As soon as we received this call, it seemed our data just went wild. It was screwy. And for about 60 seconds, it was literally chaos in this room.
In those 60 seconds, it seemed that every controller at every console saw a problem with Apollo 13.
Hey, flight, we've had a computer restart. Another controller says main bus undervolt. Third one says antenna switch.
It did not seem possible for so many things to go wrong at the same time. They thought it had to be a fault in their communications or their monitoring systems, not the spacecraft itself.
We may have had an instrumentation problem, flight.
I immediately thought, okay, it's a minor electrical problem. We'll work this when the shift's over.
The astronauts knew it was much worse than that. They thought they'd been hit by a meteor. Fred Haise called Mission Control 50 seconds into the crisis.
We hit a pretty large bang associated with the caution warning now.
In the first few minutes, there was absolute disbelief. The controllers had never come face to face with a real problem that we didn't have any immediate answers for.
Crucial minutes ticked by. Jim Lovell stared at his instrument panel.
One oxygen tank gauge, the quantity gauge, read 0. And the other one, I could see the needle start to go down ever so slightly. And that's when I drifted over and looked out the side window. And I saw escaping at a high rate of speed a gaseous substance from the rear end of my spacecraft.
The crisis was now in minute 14.
Hallucinating, you're looking out the hatch, so we are venting something. We are venting something out into space.
Roger, we copy your venting.
Jim, this isn't like getting a blowout of your tire on a highway. You are 200,000 miles into outer space, drifting further and further away from Earth. What's your emotion at that moment?
Well, I'll tell you the very first thing that I thought of. Why didn't this happen on Apollo 12, or why didn't it wait for Apollo 14?
The gas goes for it.
Okay, can you tell us anything about the venting?
Okay.
Where it's coming from?
Coming out of window 1 right now.
Do the astronauts seem abnormally calm? Cran says there's a reason.
This is why we flew experimental test pilots in the spacecraft. Their demeanor was such, when you listen to these reports and get the reporting that's coming in, they're just reporting a situation on board the spacecraft.
But everyone who heard Lovell's report instantly knew what it meant.
We had an explosion with an enormous amount of corollary damage.
In fact, they came to learn Apollo 13 had suffered a catastrophic failure. There was faulty wiring inside liquid oxygen tank 2. When Jack Swigert stirred the tank, a spark started a fire, fueled by pure oxygen. The tank blew up, taking out the ship's main supplies of air and power.
And I realized the gas escaping and the needle on my second and last tank, the quantity gauge, was one and the same, and shortly we'd be completely out of oxygen.
Completely out of oxygen, speeding away from Earth at 2,000 miles per hour.
I think every controller at that time recognized we're not going to the moon, but also it's going to be tough, damn tough, to get the crew of Apollo 13 home.
The odds were very small at that time among ourselves that we're going to get out of this alive.